Joining us now to look at the political and diplomatic balancing act that this appointment will impose on the new WTO Director General is Ambassador Joe Keshi, the former permanent secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Nigeria. He also served as Consul General of Nigeria in Atlanta in the United States. Ambassador Keshi, good morning, and thank you for joining us on the morning show.
Good morning to you, Ruben and Abiola and Yusuf. Thanks for having
Good morning,
me.
Sir.
Yes, thank you very much, Your Excellency. Very quickly, how important, how significant, how historic is the emergence of Dr. Okonjo-Iweala as the first woman to be Director General of the WTO and as the first African to occupy that position?
Well, Ruben, you just said it in terms of history. She's the first black woman. She's the first woman, the first African, the first Nigerian. And the most significant thing is that, again, it brings national pride to Nigeria that a Nigerian today heads such an important organization in the world. In fact, I must say that this month has been relatively good diplomatically for Nigeria. Only last week, Ambassador Bankole Adeoye was elected AU Commissioner. And here we are celebrating Ngozi's own election. What it tells us is that as we celebrate today all over this country for Ngozi's appointment, it should remind us that when we put our best team forward in any election globally, we would always win. We lost a few this year also because of the wrong choices we made. But on the whole, the three choices we've made in the last from ADB, AU, and the World Trade Organization, I think it's significant, and Nigeria has Nigerians have all the right to celebrate the diplomatic success.
We certainly do. Now, she represents a few really important demographics. She represents women, the black race, Africans, and Nigerians. I'd like you to take us through what each of those demographics can expect with her emergence as Director General of the WTO. I want to start with women because she mentioned that she's going to make strides with e-commerce because that would empower women and MSMEs. How should the WTO try and embrace e-commerce? Because obviously the WTO rules of 1995 did not cover e-commerce.
Well, look, the year you mentioned, I don't think that technology has advanced as it has advanced today. So you can be sure that, she will certainly introduce e-commerce as she has promised in order to help women. Not just remember the world as a whole, but I need to make this point, which I made to a few who, when we discussed, a few that I answered their questions yesterday, who said to me, how would Ngozi help Nigeria? And I said, no, she will not help you. She will not help you except you are productive. She will not help you except you have something to sell. Because her role as a DG of the World Trade Organization, the World Trade Organization is it's an organization that regulates global trade. And except you have something to sell and to put into the world market, her role is to ensure that you get a fair deal and that you are not cheated in the whole process. But where you are not trading, where you have nothing to trade, where you are not doing anything, whether it's e-commerce or the other side of it, the most important thing is that if we want to benefit from her being a WTO Director General, we need to up our game in terms of being productive. When we become productive and we have a lot to do, to sell, and I think that's how, our role will certainly benefit not just women, but also, all those engaged in global trade.
All right, great insight you've shared, Ambassador Joe Keshi. But a lot of people are looking at those trade problems, those sticking points. Number one would be Doha Round Trade Talk or Doha Development Agenda that's been on since 2001. Those conversations are not done. Number two will be a conversation she really wants to get right started. That's things about fishery, and the likes. I mean, you talked about the fact that we are not producing. How can we start playing in those big conversations as regards our own local production?
No, very simple. You just have to be productive. There are so many things, unbelievable, so many things that we can do in this country. There's nothing we cannot sell if only we get down and start being productive. You know, the bulk of the problem we have, the lack of opportunities in this country, is the fact that we are simply not productive. We are a consuming nation, for goodness sake. And until we change the pattern, you know, I took part, I think it was in I can't remember, I think in late 1999, I took part in a discussion in India between the Chinese and the Indians, you know, about their future role in the world. And at that time, the Chinese was using export to grow. The Indians were using domestic, you know, consumption to grow. But they produce everything that, you know, that they needed. And that's exactly what we need to do. India, after the war with Pakistan, where, you know, they were starved of food and you name it, took an oath that they will never be hungry again and that no nation will starve them of food after they imported so much. And today, in terms of food, India is self-sufficient. India exports a lot to the rest of the world. It is that determination, the leadership. Look, we have all it takes. We have all it takes. What is required is the leadership to take us across the finishing line. And if we can get that, and we focus in being productive in everything in this country. Look, I think it was in Gombe or Taraba, I can't remember precisely, that the governor once gave us a gift. And when I looked at the gift box, there was an ugly package or something. I have no idea what was inside. I left it in my house until I saw it one day, and I asked my steward, what's in this box? He said, sir, you brought it. And I said, open it, let's see. I found out that it was something like tea, and I said, let me just have a taste of this tea. It was green tea. And it was one of the best I have tasted. Can you imagine if Taraba or Gombe can focus on producing tea, green tea, and exporting green tea? Can you imagine if the rest of the country can focus on oil production?
Ambassador Keshi, yes. I get your point about productivity. But look, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala is emerged as the Director General of the WTO this same year that the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is kicking off. And there are many Africans beyond Nigeria and our own issues in terms of productivity who think that an African emerging as the DG of the WTO should translate into some advantages for Africa. What should Africa expect? And is she in a position to make a difference in terms of African interest?
This is a point I'm trying to make. The only way she can be of helpful, in fact, the only way we can help her to help us is to put something in the market. Now, if we are not getting a fair price for our products, I believe that the WTO can intervene to help us, that's the African region or the world, to get a fair trade for what we are producing. If we are not doing that, there's very little she can do. Look, when the world meets to look at the global rules for trading today, it is those who have something to trade that are going to be the loud voice.
On that note, Ambassador
at the table.
Keshi, on that note, thank you very much for joining us this morning. And thank you indeed for your commentary on the emergence of Dr. Okonjo-Iweala as Director General of the WTO. Thank you very much.